All right, so the main topic is how Netflix is empowering the anime industry. The other verb was disrupting the anime industry, but I think most of the things in the article were positive. The Hollywood Reporter wrote a fairly long article about this, and it was, of course, stolen by a bunch of other websites. So when you go online and look this up, you're going to run into the same info over and over again. But, of course, Netflix is getting involved in anime very seriously. Also, the article is from October 25th, 2017, so very recent, only about a month old, and it is titled, How Netflix is Disrupting, Empowering Japan's Anime Industry. If you want to read it yourself on the Hollywood Reporter.
Shouldn't that be a slash instead of a comma?
I don't know.
Right?
I didn't major in English.
Incorrect grammar.
I know English, but I wouldn't say my grammar's perfect. So Netflix's statistics, they're pretty substantial, and they're growing rapidly. Netflix added 6 million members globally in the third quarter of 2017 alone, which is insane. It's crazy.
It's a monster. I mean, it is I'm sure it is, but the biggest way that people consume media.
Oh, for sure it
today.
is, because
I like traditional media, not like, I mean, YouTube is probably bigger. I would imagine bigger than Netflix, but
probably yeah, maybe.
But that's also not traditional like television shows and movies,
right?
For the most part,
Netflix has 110 million subscribers, which is more than all of cable TV.
That's incredible.
So your statement is pretty accurate. And Netflix is now available in nearly 200 countries around the world, and is projected to have revenues in 2017 of $11 billion, which, in all fairness, isn't that much, but
yeah, I guess when you kind of think about it,
it's a third of what my company does, and all we do is distribute technology.
Yeah,
like laptops and shit.
11 billion. I mean, 11 billion is a lot of money, but when you think about like how much it has to cost to run that company and to also be coming out with a lot of original content. I mean, I'm sure they're making a ton of money. They wouldn't do it if they weren't making money.
I actually can answer that question for you pretty easily. Netflix
operating costs, is that what you're looking up?
I'm going to look up their net income.
I'll tell you my
operating income.
While you're looking that up, I'll tell you my company. Every year they have like an annual meeting where everybody they talk about how the company's doing and stuff like that. Yeah. And one of their bragging points is that they have the largest, what was the term like they used? That basically that the amount of money that they're making and the amount of money that they're spending on like operating costs, they have the largest gap of any other business in this industry, in the industry that I work in. Which and as they're saying this at the meeting, I'm like, that's not something you want to brag about.
So they're cheap.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not something you want to brag about to your employees.
Well, my company the CFO of my company told my entire division that the company would dive under a bus for a nickel.
Wow.
Yep, that came out of his mouth.
Jeez.
Netflix made an operating profit of a net income of $186 million on a revenue of $8.8 billion, which is not that great. That's like that's a margin of like 2%, so it's not great. But they're making a ton of money. So the point is that it's a big company, right?
Yeah.
So
and it's getting bigger.
It's getting much bigger, growing very fast. It's growing like 20 to 30% a year.
Yeah.
So Netflix is going to spend $8 billion next year, which is a lot. I don't know how they're going to do that with only $11 billion of revenue, but we'll see. And they're going to have 30 anime titles made that will be released in 2018.
So we're not talking about they're getting the rights to 30 animes that have already being made. They're creating.
They're making 30 of them.
They're funding the creation of 30 anime titles.
Correct.
Interesting. Okay.
They did say that not all of them will be made in Japan, but they didn't break down what proportion of them were going to be made in each country. Some of them are probably made in like Korea.
So then you have to start asking, are they anime?
Well, a lot of anime, is that a joke?
No, I mean like if an American company is funding it and creating it and writing it and it's being animated in a different country other than, I mean like it sounds like nothing is coming out of Japan.
I mean, you do know that a pretty significant portion of anime that we watch is made in like China and Korea, right?
It's animated in China and Korea.
Right. Well, I'm not sure if that's what they mean or not.
Right. So I absolutely understand that or like the Philippines even as well, I think, right? Don't they get a lot of animation done there?
I think so.
So I get that. But even those are created by Japanese companies and studios and creators and things like that.
Well,
so
they didn't give the breakdown. So for all I know, it's 29 in Japan and 1 in, I don't know, Burma or something.
So yeah, so my thought is like if some dude in San Francisco is coming up with an idea for a show and then having a dude in the Philippines animate it, is that anime?
By Japan's definition, yes. but by our definition, no, which is so ironic.
Interesting.
And to them, anime is just animation. It doesn't care where. It doesn't matter where it comes from.
Right.
So, okay. So yeah, several companies are doing this, including Crunchyroll and Amazon are trying to get involved. But according to the article, Netflix is way more aggressive than all the rest of them. Quite honestly, Crunchyroll can't compete with Netflix and never will because their entire revenue is probably like $100 million, and which is nothing compared to Netflix. And Amazon is actually makes you could say the same thing about Netflix compared to Amazon. I just don't think that Amazon cares as much. So
yeah, I mean that's a good point because Crunchyroll, I mean, you know, they're doing great things, you know, for the anime fandom, but ultimately like they're not that large of a company, and they you know, they certainly don't have that much money to be spending on things like this. And yeah, it sounds like it's like one of those it's like a picture of like a fish like about to eat something, and then there's like a bigger fish behind it about to eat that fish, and then an even bigger fish behind that one.
So Netflix, rather Crunchyroll just topped 100 million paid subscribers, or 1 million paid subsubscribers. They wish it was 100 million.
Wait, Crunchyroll has 1 million paid subscribers.
Correct.
Okay, so they're making $3 million a month, or how much does it cost for Crunchyroll? It's
$7 a month. So they make $7 million a month, which means that they're making around $84 million in revenue from subscriptions. Now they probably make money from advertising and stuff like that too. Now I don't know what percentage it is, but we can just call it 100 million.
Yeah. All right, that's
just, I don't know. So just to answer the question.
It's a fair guess, yeah.
All right, so there's a lot more here. So budgets and working conditions. We all know that in Japan, animation studios work their employees very hard and they don't get paid very much.
Right.
Much like our idol friend Adina, who's smoking hot, by the way.
Our idol friend?
Yeah, the girl that made $4,000 a month.
Oh, I'm like, wait, do we have a friend that's an idol? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this girl.
I gotcha.
You want to see what she looks like?
Sure.
Should I find a picture for you?
Okay. Yeah, have at it.
Do you know what a black key? Oh my gods. Do you know what a? Oh my lord. Sorry, my brain literally just shorted out.
Holy moly.
Oh my god, dude. Oh my gods. I can't. I don't think we can continue the podcast until I post this link into the chat.
That's an attractive young lady,
dude. That is not the word I would use.
She should certainly make more than $4,000 a month. I feel like she could just like go find some rich dude.
I can't look at this. I have to get it off my screen. Yeah. It's literally painful.
It's going to distract you for the rest of the show.
No, it's literally causing me chest pain. I'm going to have a heart attack.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. So, God, what in the hell? Why do I live in Florida? This makes no sense. I hate everything. Okay, so moving on.
Okay.
Working conditions are very bad in Japan for animation studios. Some of them have been labeled black kigyo, which means like a black company.
Oh, I've heard about that.
Which is like, it's so sad that that's even a thing, that there's a website that people can report their companies to for shitty working conditions. So, which doesn't help these animation studios find new employees either, I'm sure. It can't help them.
Yeah.
So Netflix is providing a much larger budget for anime production than is considered typical.
Okay. Yeah.
It's open.
I would imagine.
It's an open secret that Japanese industry in Japan, that they are significantly larger than for domestic works. So Netflix is ponying up a lot more money than like wherever the money comes from in Japan for an anime. So they don't give details, but let's just say if an anime's funding is $5 million, right, we'll just say Netflix gives them $10 million.
Okay.
You know, that's the point I'm trying to make. So Netflix could improve the terrible working conditions in the anime studios through increased profits. So we're going to get to that. We're going to dive into that also. But Netflix is restoring Japan to like a model of sanity for quote unquote for the industry, rather than just working people until they die at their seats with a pen in their hand. They're going to put more money into the system.
But yeah, and so what's interesting about that, a couple of things. One is that, and we've discussed it before briefly from time to time, is that the way that anime airs in Japan on Netflix is that it is week to week, as opposed to, you know, of course here in the States where it's like months later we'll get the show on Netflix. So there's that. So it's in direct competition with just television channels in Japan. And if you have a company in direct competition hiring the same people or the people with the same, you know, expertise and paying them better, then that's going to force a lot of those other companies, a lot of those other studios to, you know, improve their working conditions. So it's just a win across the board for creators in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, the tricky thing though is that according to this article, the company's anime studios in Japan don't make a profit until they start selling DVDs. Mm-hmm. So apparently, I didn't know this, but when an anime, Netflix is, so the full quote is, this comes from some studio executive, Netflix is restoring it to a sane business model. You're looking at maybe a 15% margin rather than a 5% loss.
So then why are they losing money? And Netflix is able to find a way for them to gain money. I wonder where are they bleeding money? I guess I think
that that quote was referencing up until the point at which it airs through television. Mm-hmm. So all the revenues that a studio would make on making an anime up through the point where it has it's finished its TV run, right? The studio can expect to lose about 5% of whatever they put in up until that point. It's when they start making money on DVD sales and figures and things like that they actually turn that 5% loss into a profit. Which is probably why you see so many anime out there that are just merchandise monsters. Like, you're not going to sell merchandise of Parasite or Hajime no Ippo the way you will of Idolmaster. So that's, in my opinion, a lot of the reason that's probably controlling a lot of the creative juices in Japan. They can't even they can't take a risk on some show that doesn't have high merchandising potential, because unless it does, they can't make a profit on it. Yeah. There's no way for them to make money if they can't sell shit after it finishes airing on TV.
That's fair. Yeah, I could totally see that. Well, yeah, and then you have to consider, so if they're losing money on a lot of these shows, I mean, is it in their best interest to create less shows? Like, to create less shows but higher quality shows that, are going to get more DVD sales and figure sales and things like that? Like, would it be in their best interest to focus their market as opposed to just kind of like shotgun blasting all these shows out there and losing all this money?
I think it's in their best interest to change the business model. I mean, like, you could say something like, oh, let's just make more, but they're still taking big risks, because if they're suffering a loss on a project until it's up until the point where it's selling DVDs, right? Like, that doesn't sound like a business I want to be in. No, definitely not. I mean, it sounds like a broken business model. Yeah. Which is where Netflix comes in. Right. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, there are so many shows created every season that are just fodder. Like, they're not of good quality or of interest to most people. So is it really worth their time to be making these shows? Like, you look at something, even, a show that we'll be reviewing later on today, Symphogear. On my anime list, Symphogear has, I think this season of Symphogear has like 12,000 people that have watched it or that have, put it on their list. Yeah. Shows that are airing right now have hundreds of thousands of people on my anime list that are watching them. And so it's like, is it really worth your while to create a show that's not going to get that many people interested in it? So Symphogear is an interesting example because it's a little bit of an outlier. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that it's making much more money. I'm not surprised. There's 4 seasons, so I'm sure it's making money. It's making money, but I'm not shocked that my anime list is just people like us. It's not Japan. Yeah. So I was just saying as an example, but yeah, that's probably not a good example for in Japan. But there are many shows in Japan that, like, nobody's watching these shows. Is it really worth their time to even make them? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you're making a 5% loss, yeah, you could argue that the anime industry just shouldn't exist, because it's a terrible industry. Think about that for a second. Like, you would make more money if you did nothing. Well, they're going to make they're going to make a profit once the DVD sales come in. Right. But I don't know what kind of margin they have after DVD sales. Potentially, assuming that it's a show that people give a crap about. Yeah, if it's Parasite and you sold 200 DVDs or whatever it was, you probably didn't make any money. Yeah, so it's like you would have made more money if you did nothing. If you just slept all day and ate ramen, you would have made more money than putting in all of this work. There's an interesting discussion to be had there about opportunity cost. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with that concept? No. Opportunity cost is basically when you make money, like, let's say you go to work and you make $100. Okay. That's just our baseline. The next best alternative to your time to making the $100 is your opportunity cost. Wait, hold on. So let me lay it out for you.
Okay.
You went to work today.
Yes.
You made $100.
Okay.
The next best thing you could have done to make money with that same amount of time and resources was a lemonade stand outside. You made $30. Your opportunity cost of going to your regular job, making $100 is $30. Okay. So your net gain is 70.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
I see what you're saying.
So that's like financial principle or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're saying like they should just.
It's kind of like, is it worth it for you to put forth this effort and time when you could put in no effort or time, or put in less effort or time and get it,
something else?
Yeah. Like, what's the gap in there?
Like
it's kind of like, it's like cleaning your apartment. It's like, is it worth me spending, 2 hours, 3 hours to clean my apartment, or to pay someone to clean my apartment? What's more valuable?
Well, now you get into like utility theory and shit, where it's like, it's not even about money. It's like about how it makes you feel and shit like that.
I mean, I'd feel a lot better if somebody else cleaned my apartment. I'll tell you that right now.
I just wanted to be clean. But like you say, oh, well, maybe they should just do nothing. They'd be better off.
Yeah.
And I say, even if they made a $2 million profit on a series after they sell all their DVDs and shit, well, I wonder what the opportunity cost is. Because if it's $2 million or more, they for sure shouldn't be making anime. They should be doing something totally different. They should be painting Legos or something. I don't know what it is. But like, if their opportunity cost is $2 million, then really their net gain is nothing. The anime industry is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Now, I have no idea. I can't measure any of that.
Right.
No, none of us can. But that's just interesting to build upon your thought.
Very interesting. And it's interesting to see how, I mean, because Netflix historically doesn't, like, they're not going to do something if it's not going to make them money. So they've clearly found a hack for this rule that, you lose money until you go to DVD sales, because Netflix isn't doing DVD sales. So they must have found a way to have increased profits in a manner that, they're going to be making enough money to justify it.
Dude, I think this is really big for anime. Like, people roll their eyes, some people are rolling their eyes. They don't care. They're never going to watch anime on Netflix. But the thing is that when an anime studio normally would make a 5% loss, and now they're going to make a 15% profit.
It's huge.
It's huge. Now they can pay people more.
Yeah.
They can hire more people, which means that every single person that works there doesn't get worked, doesn't die with a pen in their hand.
It's a rising tide.
Yeah,
right? The rising tide raises all ships.
It's a repair on the business. You are revising the model of the anime industry to a sustainable model that will improve the quality, the number of shows, and the creativity. Because as I'm going to get to in a minute, it's going to make production committees irrelevant.
Okay.
So let's just jump into that real quick.
Okay, sure.
We need the whole picture to have the discussion.
Yeah.
A production committee is 5 to 15 companies that come together and share the costs of making an anime, and also thus share the financial risks of it.
Okay.
So basically, rather than you having to shoulder all the burden yourself, you gather all your friends together and you split the cost of a pizza.
Okay,
If the pizza sucks, it isn't like you go bankrupt. Everyone just takes a small hit.
Yeah.
That's a production committee.
Okay.
Joint promotion through profit sharing all happens with TV stations, newspapers, etc. So they will pay and they will give a portion of the profits to TV stations, newspapers, etc. that are involved in the promotion and the showing of an anime. Right. So that's why a lot of the money that an anime that an anime makes doesn't go to the studio, because it's going to like TV stations, magazines, newspapers, the 15 companies that are in the production committee, all this bullshit. So the downsides to that, according to the article, are a drastic slowing down in decision making, because every single person had to have a huge discussion about everything.
Everybody wants to have their input, for sure.
Yeah.
Like I've heard, listen to a bunch of different podcasts, and there are some podcasts of people that are in like the movie industry and things like that. And they always talk about how producers, there are producers that do absolutely nothing for a film, but they just want to have their input. So they'll be like, oh, what if we had his shirt be green instead of blue? And it's like, oh, well, there's my input. It's like, who gives a crap? Why are you wasting our time in the face with this nonsense? Also, because there's so many people involved, they have a tight control on what can be made. They don't want to take risks. Yeah. And it just too many cooks. Too many cooks. That could be why we get the same shit all the time. Yeah. But with Netflix, there, quote unquote, will be no TV station involved to say what needs to be done to make something suitable for broadcast. There won't be these production committees that stick their nose in and make sure that it has
idols in it because we have to sell idol figures, blah, blah, blah. Because Netflix is going to come in and they're going to give the studio enough money that none of those assholes matter. It's the production committees that make anime bad if it is.
Well, now, of course, Netflix, I'm sure, has their own production committee of sorts to where they're like, I'm sure they're not just saying, hey, create whatever you want. They're probably saying, all right, well, you know.
They may, but there's a lot of violent shit on Netflix. Like, it's not like they're...
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't speak to that, but that wasn't the tone of the article. The tone of the article from like the executives at a couple of these studios, one of them was TMS Entertainment, feels like, and Netflix is going to come in, revise everything, and fix everything. Fix a lot of things, a lot of problems.
I mean, that sounds incredible. It sounds like this is certainly there's more good in this than bad. I will say though, Netflix hasn't. They're not batting 1,000. All right,
with anime.
With their Netflix original content.
Really, I think it's usually pretty good, isn't it? I mean, no one's perfect.
They've had some. What's another baseball term I can use to say something that sucks?
Swing and a miss.
They've swung a few times and missed.
Foul ball.
They've been hitting the balls by a wild pitch a few times here and there.
Yeah, you got hit in the head with a beanball.
Yeah, they've been beaned a few times. With a big thing that they've been doing is I mean, of course, you have shows like Stranger Things, which are tremendous. And then also Daredevil has done really well. Jessica Jones has done really well. But then you have things like Iron Fist and The Defenders, which both kind of sucked and didn't do well at all.
I didn't see those probably because they sucked.
They're not infallible.
There's a lot of them though. Like there's like Black Flag, isn't that one of them? Like there's like a pirate movie. It's like a pirate show.
I have no idea.
I might be mixing up different. Every streaming service has its own unique content.
Yeah.
So I get mixed up.
The point I'm making is that Netflix is not infallible. So although it does sound like this is really good across the board, it's one of those things that you will kind of have to wait and see. Because they don't just assume it's going to be tremendous just because Netflix is behind it, because they haven't knocked it out of the park every time.
Netflix also has the ability to do additional production that would otherwise be impossible. So like for Baki, there's a show coming out called Baki.
Baki the Grappler.
Baki the Grappler.
They're making another Baki the Grappler?
Yeah, Netflix is doing it.
That's awesome.
Netflix is quote unquote, this is a quote from from Kotaro Yoshikawa, the vice president of distribution and licensing at TMS Entertainment. Okay. Says Netflix, quote, is producing dubbed versions in several languages and subtitles in more than 20 languages, with a release to around 200 countries in one go, which we couldn't do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, they're gonna, like, you're talking about anime becoming mainstream. How about 200 countries that it wasn't in before?
Yeah.
I mean, there you go. There's your answer.
I mean, it's
becoming global instead of just the USA and Japan, and we pirate all of our shit.
Right.
It's now Japan, the US, and 200 other countries. That's almost every country.
I mean, I don't know how many countries there are.
I'll look that up. I think there's like 214 of them.
Oh, but I mean, that's incredible. I'm in. I'm certainly interested to see what they do. What?
All right. It says there's 195 countries in the world.
Okay.
But the 200 countries that I mentioned includes like territories and shit.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what all those are, but so that's crazy talk.
Yeah, I mean, and Netflix has the muscle to do it, so I'm sold. I am a little concerned because like I said, they're not batting 1,000, and then and you don't. A lot of times when companies get too much power, it can be a bad thing. What are you doing? I
looked up where the headquarters of Netflix was because I was just thinking, I'm basically like preparing for a new job, right?
Let me guess, San Francisco.
I'm like, where is Netflix headquartered?
Of course, it's San Francisco. That's where every tech company is.
Because it sounds like it'd be a cool company to work for.
Yeah,
don't you think so? Kind of new and trendy and like young and
not very new. It's been around for.
It's new compared to the place I work for.
That's true.
Where we dive under a bus for a nickel, right? Their headquarters is in Los Gatos.
The Cats.
The Cats.
Holy balls.
California.
The Cats, California.
Dude, it is you.
This
is you, man.
Guys, I'm going to
I wonder where
Netflix.
the hell that is. It's probably like right next to San Francisco. Los Gatos. Los Gatos is just south of San Francisco.
Awesome.
Literally just south.
I'm moving to the Cats.
It's like 60 miles south of San Francisco, where everything else that's awesome is, apparently.
Genius.
That's where Crunchyroll and Sony are, too.
What the hell is
Did
wrong
he just
with
hiss?
this cat?
Did
Yeah,
he hiss
he
you?
just went ham on me.
Get off of our table, you crazy son of a bitch. All right.
Damn, Neil.
So big.
Chill out.
God. So you need to move to the Cats, California, and work for Netflix.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So
Neil is crazy, man. He just like went vampire on me.
I mean, it's weird. Like we talk about, oh, this show is One Punch Man is gonna save anime. Attack on Titan saved anime.
Netflix might save anime.
Netflix actually might, like, rather than just having, he's gonna knock Bulma off and kill Bulma, and she died in real life. That's not cool.
Oh God, why would you say that?
Because it's true. She did.
Know,
she passed away.
I know, but you don't have to say that.
Oh well, it's just the first thought that entered my mind. I think he wants to get on mic 3. Should we let him on mic 3?
He scares me now. I'm afraid of him.
He's big, dude. He's big,
and he just like
he's big, and I haven't clipped his claws in like 8 months, so they are razor sharp.
Yeah.
20% increased profit? Are you kidding?
From -5 to +20?
From -5 to +15.
+15.
You know how insane that is?
It's ridiculous.
Dude, Netflix's entire margin is 2%.
Yeah. Now here's the question.
20%?
Here's the question. Will they have DVD releases of these shows that come out on Netflix?
That I don't know, but I guess they will.
They do. So yeah, I guess they would.
They probably will.
Because I've seen like Daredevil and stuff like that on DVD at like Best Buy. So
I'm sure that the anime studios wanted to maintain their rights to sell DVDs and stuff, and I doubt Netflix cares that much.
Yeah, this is awesome, dude.
It's very awesome. Yeah. 20% increased profit will literally completely transform an animation studio. The reason why Netflix can do this is because they have an $8 billion budget, and an anime costs like a handful of millions.
Yeah.
I mean, they can make a lot of animes with $8 billion.
Yeah,
That's half the revenue of the entire anime industry from last year.
Wait, what is?
$8 billion.
Is half the revenue of the entire anime industry?
The entire anime industry made $17.5 billion last year. Netflix is going to put $8 billion into original content. That's half the entire industry, and that includes everything foreign, all figures sold around the world, all advertising revenue around the world, all licensing fees, everything.
This cat.
Yeah,
he and I are going to get into a fight.
He owns the show.
I'm sensing it. He's over here putting his tail on my laptop.
He's very handsome.
I feel like he's testing me.
Is he?
You know?
He's very handsome.
I feel like this is my the first day in prison, and I'm gonna have to get into a fight. Otherwise, I'm gonna be holding on to the inside of his pocket for the rest of my tenure in prison.
So, I mean, what is the point of this discussion, though? Is it to tell people that they should be supporting Netflix because Netflix is supporting anime?
I feel like we don't have to tell people that.
Really? I feel like
Netflix is doing fine.
We just had a conversation about how everyone hates the fact that they're going to release all their shit all at once.
I think maybe kind of the moral of this story is that change is not always bad. Sometimes it's good.
In business, it's usually good. This cat is owning you. He's got his tail.
I'm about to dump this bottle of water on his head.
He's got his ass and tail all up in your grill. You can go ahead and dump the bottle of water on him if you wish.
Yeah, and then he dives at my jugular.
He'd probably knock everything off. He probably would knock everything off the table.
Bro, come on. This is the worst.
He's so up in your grill. Anyway, so do you have any additional comments to add, or should we just go right into the next news break?
No, let's go ahead and take another news break.
I wonder if have there been any questions from the chat?
I don't think so.
I haven't been really paying attention.
Yeah, no, they haven't really been asking a lot of questions. So yeah, let's go ahead and take another news break.
Okay.
When we return, we'll get into our review of what show are we reviewing?
Senki Zesho
Symphogear
AXZ.
And we'll also answer another in-show weekly trivia question. So this one is another Name the Anime. Yes, name the 2 Ghibli movies directed by Miyazaki's son, Goro Miyazaki. So we're sticking with Ghibli. What 2 movies were directed by his son, by Miyazaki's son?
Whom he hates, apparently.
Who he hates. Which, I mean, he hates everybody, so
yeah.
I feel like he's in a good place.
It's a disgrace to life itself. All right.
We'll see you after the break.